This is one way to plan ahead for a house fire.
Okay, sir, this is devised to work on the record mode.
Figure out that it didn't work because we believed her. We trusted her. And it took us a couple of days. We didn't know what we were doing.
To figure out
that it didn't work because we believed her. We trusted her.
They chose a piece of equipment that was very limited. Detecting transmitter and tape recorders simultaneously. Detecting transmitter and tape recorders simultaneously. Picking up all types of bugging and listening devices and lasers and all kinds of things that are very sophisticated.
In a negative manner.
The suffering of wives, the suffering of wives, the suffering of wives, the suffering of wives, the suffering of wives whose husbands disappeared, the suffering of wives, the suffering of wives whose husbands disappeared. Americans killing Americans. We're going to have 50 million American people butchered. Americans killing Americans. We're going to have 50 million American people butchered forthwith for no other crime. American people butchered forthwith for no other crime. Terror. Americans killing Americans. We're going to have 50 million American people butchered.
That built their confidence in me. Mom fixed the television.
I tell you, Sue, the Lord
it.
is looking out for you because you can get electrocuted.
And so I got a pizza. There's nothing but a frozen pizza, and any idiot ought to be able to follow instructions and make a frozen pizza. Well, I got the oven just the right temperature, and I put the pizza in, but with the pizza I put in the cardboard and everything else.
Seattle Police Department, Seattle Police Department, Seattle Police Department, Seattle Police Department, Seattle Police Department.
Fine, Bill, thank you.
Interesting story.
And where the death rate averaged at the very least 10%. 10%. Children who were orphaned cannot be counted. The spiritual cost of being forced to denounce one's own parents, the mental torment of lying in fear of unjust arrest, and death night after night for months or years is not subject to measurement. How can you measure?
The controller would actually replace the telephone instrument to work on the record mode.
This is one way to plan ahead for a house fire.
Computer fraud is a people problem. Computer fraud is not an equipment problem.
I should have died that night.
I've had young ladies sit there in my office and just take their fist and hit my desk and say, my life is ruined, my life is ruined, my life is ruined.
Yes, it began about 2 years ago when Mother had to undergo a double bypass operation. She began to take lessons at the country club.
When did you begin to notice that your mother was behaving strangely? When was your mother committed?
December 10th. And she died 5 days later.
Objection. Irrelevant. Objection. Irrelevant.
She had to be tranquilized and restrained.
So when you and your sister lied to her and had her involuntarily committed to a psychiatric hospital, she became enraged.
Then we went Christmas shopping. It was unbelievable.
Please, explain what you mean.
Everything's all right. I'll be right over.
And another in the stomach.
Objection, that's hearsay.
The tools they use are simple.
Would you care for some sherry? Thank you. I won't be a minute.
Did he do it? Did he really knock Harvey off?
It's the greatest thing.
You insist that Reddick struck you from behind with a wrench. Is that right?
I guess it was with a wrench. He was holding it.
Hurt your head. Just a minute. Now listen.
Everything got black and full of sparks. So I opened the door and stepped right in.
I arrested a group of young men here about a year ago who had been getting together at night.
New Jersey, the pilot of a jumbo jetliner passed out from a heart attack.